Hello, good day, everyone. My name is Amarachi Obiego, and I am going to be presenting the MAIGA manifesto and blueprint. And I'm doing this for the benefit of those of us who were not available or for whom it was not possible for them to be available yesterday for whatever reasons, right? Now, this is a very important document that was created, and I think by Bitcoin Chief, right? And for us to be able to run with this, to be able to accelerate our progress as much as possible, people need to understand it and people need to internalize it, right? So while it's good that the meeting held, it's also very important that everybody gets to read it. And I realize that there are people who will not be able to read. There are people who are very busy. There are people who are not really the reading kind of people. They prefer to hear things or watch multimedia. And for that reason, I've been able to simplify this into this document. So let's go together. Now, MAIGA is economic power as the path to Igbo greatness, right? So the discussion began with Gaius Chibueze letting us know that our path to greatness is not through political separation. In other words, we did not need to become a different political entity from Nigeria to survive. He was speaking about a poll he conducted, and the result from the poll showed him that the fastest chance we have to achieving what we want is actually through developing Ala Igbo through investment and industrialization, not as some people will expect through breaking out of the country. And therefore, these plans came together to be able to position Ala Igbo, which is the southeast of Nigeria, as an economic leader in Africa. Now, due to conversations that have been had, people have asked, why not Ala Igbo, Southeast and South-South? But I think that has been clarified this morning with to be able to ensure that we do not carry a lot of baggage. There's a lot of who is here and who is not here. And the kind of speed we want to achieve is such that we want to ensure that we can be able to hit critical mass fast. And I believe that we're not leaving anyone in Ala Igbo behind. It's just that with the way you do progressive elaboration, you would reach where you can reach first. And then when you've been able to eat and carry yourself, then you can be able to carry your brother. Our brothers right now in other states may not really be able to significantly influence their governors wherever they are in places like Edo State, in places like, I think here we have Igbos in Kogi, places like Delta State, right? Because they may not be the dominant population there. So that's why for now, the emphasis is on the Southeast. And as we integrate better, we'll achieve a lot more together. Now, what are the core principles? Well, we have core principles, about 6 core principles. Let's call them pillars. Let it look a little bit like Islam. Economic empowerment should be picked over violence. So instead of us to use violence and say, if you don't give us Biafra, we'll scatter and we will go, we'll prefer to prioritize economic empowerment. Let us use enterprise, let us use investment and innovation to achieve what we want instead of armed struggle. Let us use commerce and development to create long-term value and prosperity. The second one, which actually is my favorite, is unity and collective progress, in which none of us is left behind. We want to be able to pool resources and knowledge within Nigeria and the diaspora to be able to achieve critical mass, which is, of course, achieve the level of success we have by utilizing what we call underutilized resources that what we mean is resources, knowledge and intelligence and wealth that has been scattered around both Nigeria and the diaspora, right? Self-reliance and innovation. Now, I think it was at this point that Mr. Gayos spoke about your Unigbe that we developed in-house, right? And we're very dangerous people to push to the wall, right? We now want to go and say our homegrown solutions and should be developed, right? And should be commercialized. And entrepreneurship should be our thing. Yes, so yes, made in Ala Igbo products should be emphasized so that we do not get to depend on external people, external factors, right? And then number four, inclusiveness and grassroots participation. Now, we want to go all out and involve our people, from youth to women to elders and diaspora in decision-making. We want to also ensure that opportunities are created for marginalized groups in Ala Igbo and ensure that everybody gets the opportunity to participate. So it doesn't matter whether you were born into a poor family or development has not reached your village. By grassroots inclusiveness and participation, we want to ensure that the same opportunities that is available to the Igbo man in any part of Igbo land is available to everybody that comes under this banner of Ndi Igbo. And then transparency and accountability. We want to be able to ensure that there is transparency, honest and efficient use of our resources. And we want to also standardize the process by using regular audits and public reports to be able to maintain trust, to be able to give assurance to our stakeholders, funders, both funders and the wider stakeholders, that we are doing the right thing and we are acting in their best interest. And then ultimately, cultural preservation and pride. So these are 6 pillars, right? We want to ensure that we grow the Igbo culture. We want to ensure that we expand the language and our tradition. We want to promote art, culture, music, entertainment, and the preservation of our heritage. Now, we are on to the underlying vision. The underlying vision of this mandate is that there should be peace and prosperity in Igbo land through economic empowerment and not agitation. Our goal is to tackle poverty, unemployment, and infrastructural decay through investment. And we aim for peaceful and inclusive development models that are driven by strategic investment. Let's go on. Now, the mission is clear-cut, and every one of us needs to have this at the back of our mind. We need to know this. MAIGA's mission is clear-cut. We want to mobilize Igbo people and resources worldwide towards the holistic development of Ala Igbo. I'm going to say it again, to mobilize Igbo people and resources worldwide towards the holistic development of Ala Igbo, right? Now, MAIGA's mission is to empower the Southeast of Nigeria. But we're addressing critical needs like focusing on economic and social development in the Southeast, tackle key areas like industries, agriculture, education, and infrastructure, right? The second key point is we want to ensure that we have a self-sustaining and prosperous development. Our goal is to make Igbo land self-sufficient, wealthy, and resilient. Think of it as a plan to ensure that per square meters or per square kilometers in Igbo land, we would have the fewest poor people, the fewest or the littlest poor people per square kilometers in Igbo land. Right? We want to encourage community effort and strategic investment. We also want to channel, third point is to channel the Igbo entrepreneurship spirit by coordinating and catalyzing regional investment, regional development. Right? We want to ensure that we come together and set up economic initiatives that will pull the region up from poverty, right? And then our vision, the long-term vision, is that we should have an Ala Igbo that is reborn, right? Reborn as an economic powerhouse and a vibrant society, making the South is the fastest growing region in the world again, has, just like the days of what Michael Okpara, we also envision a future where the Southeast region will be able to boast of having world-class infrastructure. It is not a crime for us to have seaports. It is not a crime for us to have railroads. It is not a crime for us to have the very things that we need to survive, the very things. It's not a crime for us to have schools. It's not a crime for us to have good hospitals. It's not a crime for us to have health facilities. And that is what we are trying to drive towards. MAIGA's vision for the Southeast can be boiled down into this. Number one, we have world-class infrastructure. So from parks to smart cities to ensure that we have the kinds of developments that will provide job opportunities so that the Igbo youth is not running to Lagos every time, Lagos, so that they can be able to earn a living. We want our people to be able to earn a living right here. Stay in your village, and your village should be able to feed you and pay you reasonably well. Right. We want to be able to ensure that maybe not your village per se, but you should be able to earn a decent living in Ala Igbo, right? We want to be able to ensure that there's economic and technological advancement. We want to partner with our universities and tech hubs to be able to provide global innovators. We want to be able to ensure that we have farms that can provide food, both on a national and an international scale, meaning that we are looking towards what's exporting. And by the way, there are a couple of products within the Nigerian space that are beginning to have more value than oil. A very good example is palm oil. And I think we spoke about cashew nut that day. And there are some parts of the Southeast that also have cocoa, right? So yes, some of these things are beginning to have some sort of relevance. And if we can be able to commercially produce them, if we can be able to the commercial produce them, or we can be able to process them, then we are setting ourselves up for some real big breakthrough, right? And then, of course, we have what cultural and historical revival. We don't want our children to be ashamed of being Igbo. I have a name. My name is Amarachi. My other name is Sandra. I introduce myself as Sandra rather than Amarachi because I'm ashamed to let the world know that I'm an Igbo person. Right? We want cultural and historical revival. We want there to be preservation and a celebration of our heritage in daily life. And this can be achieved through the media and through a lot of other means, right? We want to be able to take us back, even though not physically, right? But at least we want to be able to duplicate the success of the 50s and the 60s Eastern region. We came from somewhere, and where we are coming from, people were envious of us. We were the people that the others wanted to be, and we actually believe that we can get ourselves back into that position, right? Let's speak about the future of prosperity. We want the peaceful and the proud and the thriving Ala Igbo. We want to be able to have a model, right, for developing the region, right? This model should be driven and built by local investment and the understanding that we can determine our destinies, even as part of this Nigerian construct. Now we have motto and we have a slogan. Our motto is from agitation to empowerment. Invest in Ala Igbo. From agitation to empowerment. Let's move from strife, from anger, to where we begin to look for opportunities and our potentials to invest in so that we can empower ourselves, right? We want to invest in Igbo land, right? So we want to recognize past struggles, right? We're not going to dump our past struggles, but we will not dwell in the past. We will instead learn how to shift our focus to constructive development in the future. We want to be able to provide every Igbo person an opportunity to invest their time, invest their skills, and invest their money into growing Igbo land. And I mean, Igbo land is somewhere we can develop and make money doing it. Let's not run away from it. Let's not shy away from it. But we want to be able to replace the language of resistance. When you hear Biafra, what you hear is resistance. What you hear is anger. want to move away from that, and what we want is a new vision of growth. We want to be able to remember our strategic mission at all times. And our slogan is rise, rebuild, and prosper. We want to rise from past challenges. We want to rebuild Ala Igbo through strategic development, and we want to prosper through investment and empowerment. So let's go over to the strategic plan. What is the strategic development plan for Ala Igbo? First of all, let's begin by considering an overview. Right, MAIGA strategic development plan for economic and so the first part is going to be about economic and industrial development. Number one, economic and industrial development. We want to establish industrial parks and enterprise zones in each southeastern state with pre-built infrastructure. We want to be able to facilitate the creation of 500 new businesses per state, right? Creating thousands of jobs. We want to develop free trade zones in Enugu, Asaba, Onitsha, and the likes, so that we can be able to boost commerce and exports. We want to be able to launch business incubators, and startup hubs to encourage entrepreneurs and startups. So this is our goal, to be able to ensure that we become industrialized through the creation of jobs, development of free trade zones in strategic areas, and trying to have business incubators and startup hubs. Currently, I mean, a lot of the talk we had yesterday was also showing that right now, if people come into Nigeria, Lagos seems like the most viable place to invest, right? And there was a lot we could do to be able to ensure that the Southeast begins to achieve its full potential, right? We want to also be able to partner with state government to cut cost of doing business or difficulty in doing business should reduce. We want to be able to ensure that things like registration, things like getting a CFO, things like getting government clearance should happen as soon as possible. We want to also be able to ensure that we know what our strong points are. We want to evaluate key industries that can easily trigger growth for us. And some of these were food industry and food processing, textiles, leather, auto parts, pharmaceuticals, and construction material. We want to be able to work in partnership with key stakeholders and the government to ensure that there's reliable power supply through industrial scale farm, gas plants, and financing, cooperative financing, right? And then we want to strengthen security through community vigilante partnerships to ensure that our businesses are protected. Right now, we understand that there are incursions being made into the South, the whole of the South, whether the Southwest, the South. We saw what happened in Edo State a few days ago. And of course, the Southeast. We want to be able to be more deliberate about security and ensure that we have community vigilante working in the best interest of Ala Igbo to protect us. We want to transform the Southeast into an industrial hub, the leading one in Nigeria. The second one we will focus on is what we call real estate and industrial development. And of course, we would have government that will partner with the government and private developers to be able to build modern housing estates and smart cities. The goal is within the next 10 years, we want to have 1 million new housing units per state within a decade. We want to ensure that housing projects have reliable utilities, green spaces. We want the land to be green. We want them to have schools. We want them to have markets. We want them to have infrastructure, hospital, workspaces. Right? So that is the goal. We want to be able to upgrade our transportation network. We need a real system. It is not a crime. We didn't commit any crime that should keep us away from having a light rail system. We want to make sure that highways and intercity roads are rehabilitated. We want to make sure that there are roads for agricultural mobility. So when people go to the farms and they produce things, we want to ensure that those things get to the market as quickly as possible. We want to ensure that there is renewable power, renewable energy. We want to invest in solar farms, right? Modular hydroelectric plants for sustainable energy. We want to support independent power generation, IPPs, and distribution initiatives so that every part of Ala Igbo can have 24 hours electricity. We want to promote clean energy, right? So how do we get solar rooftops? How do we get street lights? How do we get biomass generators to be able to ensure that, yes, while we want to have energy, while we want to utilize energy in the development of our region, that we should also be able to have clean energy. And then again, we have what? Water, the internet, and market. We want to upgrade our community water supply system, right? We want to also ensure that there is what? Broadband assets, through partnership with telco companies and community ISP or internet service providers. We want to build ultra-modern markets in every state, right? So while we have area and we have what we mentioned, modern market, there is nothing that says that Nsukka should not have a market as big. There is nothing that says that Abakaliki should not have a market as big. And my beloved, where my mom is from, there's nothing that says that we should not have these kinds of systems with organized stores, right? E-commerce platforms, and digital payment systems, right? This infrastructure should lay the foundation for economic transformation and ensuring that we can thrive as a self-sustaining, prosperous, and globally competitive region. Now, the third key area of interest is technology and innovation. We want to be able to have tech hubs and digital training platforms, right? So yes, we want to be able to ensure that in every major city in Ala Igbo, we have centers for software development, digital design, and the development of IT skills. We want to be able to partner with tech companies in diaspora and globally to be able to co-host things like coding boot camps, hackathons, and ensure that there are sufficient remote work programs for all of us. We want to be able to have innovation funds, right? So yes, our entrepreneurs, both the ones that are local and have money, and the ones that are in the diaspora should be able to provide grants and seed funding for startups in agriculture, in fintech, in edtech, and in manufacturing, which are key areas that are needed to drive us or propel us into the 21st century. We want to ensure that we have research labs, right? So yes, there should be a framework for AI and robotics research. We want to be able to set this up at UNN or FUTO or to be able to drive agriculture, drive innovation in the manufacturing production of agricultural drone, manufacturing automation, and then Igbo language, AI, amongst others, right? We also want startup incubators and accelerators to be able to support new tech companies with mentorship and investment from successful Igbo entrepreneurs so that they can be able to scale and become the kind of big companies that can challenge and compete globally. We want to ensure that there is tech infrastructure, right? We want reliable power in our tech hubs and develop fiber optic networks in metropolitan areas. We want to ensure that there is tech in our schools. So our schools should have computer labs and basic coding classes so that right from the fundamentals, we know that we are equipping them with the right kind of skills that they will need that will be useful to them in the future. We want to be able to build Ala Igbo very much like the Silicon Valley model. We want to have a tech city in African corridor right in the Southeast region to foster global innovative ecosystem. And then next we have what manufacturing and commerce. First of all, industrial growth, right? That's number 4, manufacturing and commerce. We want to be able to establish new factories and production centers across all industry. Our key focus areas, oh my God, we have the garment and textile. It's a very good thing that we already have strength in garment making, right? So yes, we want to just improve and upskill and raise the quality so that Aba made doesn't become a slur. Aba made should be something we are proud of, right? So yes, our garment and our shoe making hubs in Aba should be able to push our brand forward, right? We also want to support our own children, innocent, and also the electronics assembly spare parts in Nnewi should also get what? Support. We also have strength in pharmaceuticals and chemicals, right? So yes, drug manufacturing and fertilizer blending should be upskilled so that we do not depend on importation. Then again, we have processed foods and beverages, right? So we want to be able to use local farms to farm produce, to be able to produce packaged food, palm oil product, cassava flour, and other spices. Now, very important that I say this, it is one thing to produce food from the farm, but food from the farm, when it is processed and can be stored, generates far bigger value than if you produce and sell them as raw food. And then we have market expansion still under the manufacturing and commerce, right? We want to be able to upgrade our existing market with storage and security and e-commerce platform. We want to be able to make sure that we have trade fairs and expos, right, to connect with Igbo manufacturers with African and global buyers. So yes, the object of this is to open up the Southeast for trade, and what we produce should be able to find a wider market, not only in Nigeria or Africa, but in the world. But we want to be able to promote Made in Ala Igbo, the brand of quality and innovation, right? Other things we want to do with respect to developing manufacturing and commerce would be business training. We want to provide traders and SMEs with skill in packaging, branding, export, digital payment, even though it wasn't added here, quality management, right? And then of course we have logistics and trade facilitation. We want to invest in logistics, hubs, transportation, and warehousing near industrial parks. It's very important that I stress this. An economy is not as strong as it produces. An economy is as strong as it can distribute. So yes, logistics, transport, and warehousing will be able to move things from the point of production to the point of consumption. We want to be able to come together and with one voice ensure that the Niger River is dredged from Onitsha inland port, so that we can be able to improve access to the waters. We also want to improve rail links to our seaports. And then of course we have regional economic independence. We want to be able to transform the Southeast into a hub for both trade and large-scale production, thereby fostering local pride and economic self-reliance. We have education and workforce development. I think this is number 4, right? We want to have scholarship and educational funds, right? And that will be done to provide scholarship for people in STEM, right? There's a very major focus on key areas like agriculture, computer science, medicine, and engineering, right? So that people can be able to have agreements, right, that will also provide scholarship and have some sort of bonding agreement that will require that these our graduates will work on regional development programs. I mean, it only makes sense that when we put a lot into you, then you should also be willing and ready to be able to put a lot into the region. And then again, we have STEM investment. We want to be able to upgrade science labs and provide equipment, train teachers, and host an annual Ala Igbo Science and Tech Expo to inspire young innovators. So yes, this is going to be where we're going to be focusing on ensuring that our brilliant mind, we have brilliant mind. Just recently, we had a little boy that, a very little boy that was, that wrote a book, right? If people like Alex Onya did not discover that young man, he was probably going to rot. What we want to do is we want to identify where these pockets of talents are, so that we can bring them together, we can be able to train them and expose them to the right methodology, the right equipment, the right tools to be able to liberate their inner genius. We want to be able to ensure that we don't leave out people that need vocational and technical training. So yes, we want to have training centers so that people need auto mechanics, solar installation, ICT skills. I want to be able to partner with technical and help people master this craft. We want to be able to train to employ models, right? So what we want to do is we want to be able to ensure that people that are trained in whatever our training programs are, we find opportunities so that they can be able to have direct job placement, right? So we just don't want to train you and then you go around with a certificate or a skill in your head that eventually becomes outdated because we did not put it to work. We want to ensure that we connect people that are trained in our programs with industries, right, in the MAIGA part for direct job placement. We also want to ensure that we have what entrepreneurship and leadership training, conduct what leadership and business workshop with professionals and diaspora. So what high quality mentors to be able to help our people grow, want to be able to what instill business acumen and professionalism. Want to also be able to ensure that we push within our region for an update to our curriculum. So yes, there should be there should be introduction of Igbo history, there should be financial literacy, there should be coding, artificial intelligence, these new things that these new ideas that are needed to be relevant in the 21st century already, the 21st to 22nd century, and prepare our people for real world challenges. We want to ensure that we have them, right? And then of course we have cultural renaissance, right? First of all, today the Igbo language is actually all but dying, right? We have people who we have it doesn't help that most of our children are scattered around the world, right? And they are exposed, some children, some of our children are exposed first to even Yoruba language because they grew up in Lagos, right? So what we want to focus on is Igbo language preservation, sponsor free Igbo classes, language clubs, educational apps, and media in Igbo to ensure that people can learn how to speak this beautiful language and develop fluency, right? We want to be able to promote our arts. Yes, we want to have art festivals, musical concerts, theater production, right? Cultural expos to showcase what we have, but in terms of our talents, right? You want to be able to see more people like Faith, you want to see more people like Bochi, you want to see more people like Color Boy, you want to see more people like Final, you want to see more people like English or Gabos, right? So that's basically what, and then these people would not just be rapping English for them or singing English or for them for us, they would also be what introducing our culture, right? We want to also see this happen in the movies. We want to see this happen in every area of culture. In Cross Rivers, there was one fantastic thing that used to be a practice, the introduction of the carnival during the time of Governor Donald Duke, right? It's not going to be a crime for us to do something like that for ourselves, right? And then, of course, we have the revival of historical sites. Oh my God, right? We want to be able to ensure that we have museums that speak to the world, historical sites like the National Museum in Enugu, Ojukwu Bunker Museum in Umuahia, to be able to ensure that our children know where we are coming from, and not only that, we can open that to what tourists, right? As tourism, right? A lot of people knew of the period when the Biafran War was fought, right? It was the Biafran war that made Steve Jobs to quit going to church, right? And there was a lot of agitation at the time in some parts of the world. So yes, people would be interested in knowing, okay, this was a place where that happened, and we can be able to make a lot or generate a lot of positive exposure for ourselves by tapping into this, right? We want to be able to ensure that we are very, very intentional Igbo Media Pride campaign. We want to launch initiatives like Think Home, Think Igbo, and Akurolo to be able to encourage investment in Ala Igbo and encourage or highlight Igbo achievements. We want to ensure that there's cultural education and diaspora engagement. We want to encourage cultural studies in the university. We want to ensure that there are heritage immersion camps so that diaspora-born children will not get lost. If you take a child to the diaspora within the next one generation, if you do not take time, by the second or the third generation, it's lost. We want to ensure that our traditional skills and knowledge are preserved so that in going to Japan for better opportunities, we do not lose a sense of ourselves. And then when we integrate education and culture, we'll be able to produce rounded citizens, skilled, self-reliant, and culturally proud Igbo people, right? And then finally, on this part, I mean, this is the final part of this part, but we're going to talk about what the MAIGA agro plan. And first of all, we have farm estates in every state. We want to ensure that in every state, each of the 5 southeastern states, we have a 10,000 hectare farm estate, right? And this will be able to boost food production. We'll have an integrated model, not just not just farm crop, right? We'll have what? There's cash crops, right? There's cash crops, which are the things you export, and then there's food crops, which are the things you eat, right? And then we have what? Livestock sections. We have training centers where we can be able to educate and improve farmers, right? And then processing facilities. So this is an integrated model, and of course, this is not your regular carry your cutlass and go kind of farm. This is what you call large-scale farming with mechanized farming tools like tractors, irrigation systems, and harvesters for efficiency. We want to be able to revive oil palm plantations and introduce cash crops tailored to our ecology. We want to be able to, what this means is simply, this means that we should look at our terrain, look at our land, and know the kind of food crops and cash crops that will grow very well in our region. And we want to be able to engineer our investment, engineer our farming models to be able to grow exactly what will work here, right? So yes, we want to revive oil palm plantations, because yes, that used to be the mainstay of the Eastern economy. We want to be able to produce cash crops tailored to what our region can produce, what our soils produce. Also, we have things like ginger and palm oil. We want to use the dual crop system. We want to grow ginger for short-term income, and then of course palm oil for long-term income. Nigeria is actually a top global producer of ginger, so it makes it an ideal export cash crop. We will also optimize land use and ensure that we continue to generate continuous revenues for our farmers, right? And then again, it doesn't matter if you cannot throw up finance, right? Don't forget that one of our basic values and principles is that we will not leave anybody behind. So if you are not a billionaire, you're not very wealthy, you don't have so much capital, then we can allow you come into the program using sweat equity and a cooperative model, right? So if we use a cooperative model, right, we would move away from the traditional landlord and tenancy, right? And then with the sweat equity system, it allows you to be able to own stakes in the production based on your contribution in terms of labor, right? And then, so that's what we call sweat equity, right? Sweat equity is very much like working in a company, and based on your contribution to the company, you own shares in the company, which I think is a very fantastic program, right? Alongside things like profit sharing, right? Profits from crop sales and processing generates dividend for workers. So even though you are working, you are also part owners. And then communities that are contributing land will gain representation in the cooperative. So yes, we combine modern farming, financial stability, local empowerment to be able to drive job creation, economic empowerment, and food security, right? It's very important that we have hands on the equipment and feet on the ground, or boots to the ground. Therefore, we'll be needing agro volunteers, right? Now, we call them farm rangers in this context. We want to be able to encourage Igbo youths. We don't want to have a land where we have unemployed people. So yes, unemployed graduates and young people can be able to come in and participate in a tenure of 6 to 24 months of service on agricultural projects. And for that, they will receive stipends, they receive training and skill, and might even have opportunity to own stakes in farms, right? We want to also have hands-on training. We want to be able to ensure that people learn modernize farming techniques from experts. We want to be able to ensure that people understand how to prepare land, plant, be able to utilize eco-friendly pest control, and of course, fertilization, and even move on to manufacturing or processing, which is adding value to farm products, which of course is more valuable, right? And then of course we have create a path for ownership and employment. After people complete the programs, then they will have the option to become full-time employees or cooperative members. They will also be able to secure personal farmland with ongoing what? MAIGA assistance. So yes, we want to be able to take farming from what people scorn or laugh at and reposition it as what? A smart business opportunity, not what you pick as your fallback option when you don't have anything else to do with your life. Right. And then, of course, we have what? Processing plants and logistics. And this is actually very important. Like I said, the strength of an economy is not in what it produces. The strength of an economy is what it can distribute after production. So yes, two things. We'll first of all ensure that we move away from just growing raw crops into processing it into something more usable. And that way we'll be able to not only generate more exportation income or what you call resale value, whether locally we sell it or we export it. So yes, we want to do value addition through processing. Palm oil mills to be able to refine vegetable oils and soaps and cosmetics. Ginger processing. Ginger should be more valuable when dried, packaged, and extracted because it then becomes a valuable input into pharmaceutical industry and spice production. We'll also consider what? Cassava for garri and starch production, and then fruit. By the way, this also means that we need to invest in storage facilities, right? So yes, we want to be able to ensure that there are what? Logistics and distribution, which will include things like storage, like cold rooms and silos, right? Organized transportation systems so that when goods are produced, they can be able to efficiently get to the market, right? Through the easiest, fastest export route. We want to be able to ensure that there is what partnership with what transportation firms, or we can be able to even create our MAIGA trucking cooperative. And then we want to do as much as possible to reduce reliance on what? Middlemen, so that the farmers will be able to gain more for everything they sell. The people in our cooperatives should be able to gain more for everything they sell. So this model will ensure that our agriculture is profitable, is sustainable, and is appealing to our youth while we grow economically and we reduce food insecurity and we enhance food security. Then ultimately, right, still on distribution, we have export strategies. We want to be able to expand our export markets. What are the cash crops? Palm oil, which is also a food crop, palm kernel export, ginger, spices, cashew, and cocoa. We want to be able to ensure that we can be able to standardize to the requirement of NEPC, which is what Nigerian Export Regulatory Commission. We want to ensure that we meet the quality standard because that's actually very important. Quality standards that will allow us pass from NEPC to what you call international standards. There are a lot of the things we produce that are not accepted internationally because they fail to meet quality standards. And then again, so that we have a quality and branding initiative, right? One of the biggest problems that ABA faces is not that they cannot manufacture, but people question the quality to which these products are built. So we want to be able to ensure that we teach people quality assurance, quality control, how to properly package and gain certification so that there can be marketability. We don't want ABA or Igbo to be associated with fake. We want to what? Brand products under names like what? Ala Igbo ginger or Nkwa palm oil for what? Global recognition. The economic impact will be, of course, that will have what? Foreign exchange, and we can be able to reinvest our export earning into the development of our region. The overall impact of our agro plan is, number one, we want to be able to what? Modernize what? Agriculture and use agriculture as a driver for economic growth by utilizing what? Large-scale industrial farming models to be able to ensure that we can increase our productivity while empowering our community. And then we have what? Youth empowerment and rural development. Farming should not be a jail sentence, something people do because they don't have anything useful to do with their lives. Like Peter Obi said, farming is generating crazy incomes in different parts of the world. And if we can be able to tap into the beauty of farming, we might be able to ensure. I mean, one of the things that causes criminality, like Peter B would say, is when people do not have opportunities. So yes, we want to be able to encourage participation in farming so that they can be able to build a career and a lucrative career, become big-time farmers, and become shakers and movers in the agriculture and agro-allied industry. And another thing, very important, food security. One of the things that's causing food inflation to spiral out of control is, of course, the food insecurity. So yes, we want to be able to ensure that there is food production stable, right, for us to eat. And then there's raw material stable for our industries to be able to utilize as raw materials for production. We want to be able to ensure that agriculture can take its place. Oil or no oil, gas or no oil, we can be able to utilize agriculture and the skill of our people, including IT and tech, to be able to drive a very prosperous economy. Right. Now, this is the end of it for now, right? But this is actually half of the manifesto. The second half is going to focus on organizational structure and leadership. I would want you to read that and pitch in, and let's talk. Let's have discussion on what we can do about this. When I come back, I'm actually traveling. When I return, which will be this evening, I would, by tomorrow morning, release the second half of this. Thank you very much for listening, each and every one of you. I hope we deliberate very deeply on this and invent ways to make this possible. Thank you, and God bless you. And God bless Ala Igbo. Bye-bye.